Hello and welcome to this video on the Semantics3G authentication system. In this demo I'm going to show configuration of a first protected website on a freshly installed S3G auth system, where first I have to log on with a standard account and standard password. Now first I have to change the standard password, and after I've done this, you can see that none of the tabs there's any item configured so far, so this is a freshly installed system where first we have to define servers and LDAP servers. Now for this demo I'm going to rely on a Docker testing infrastructure. The product provides Docker definition files which you can use to start 2 containers for testing S3G auth or evaluating something. So let me start this. As you can see, there are 2 containers started, and if I take a look into the network, you see that there's an open LDAP server that has been started on the 2.9, and there's a Ubuntu based web server that has been started on the 2.2. So if I take this one and start configuring a server, this is my hostname or IP address, this is a comment. So the Docker container has a standard, has a default user which name is admin, and it requires sudo to become root. The vhost files on Ubuntu are usually in this directory, so I use that. And etc Apache 2 is also the Apache base here. Let's store the product components in the default directory. There's an init script to start it, and the standard Apache control command, and there's the document root on Ubuntu which I use. There's the log file path on Ubuntu which I use, and I have to select an open SSH key. So the product comes with the default generated random key, and I use this one, and of course it is not yet installed on the server itself, so I have to copy it to the server. So let's copy it to the clipboard and go here, go to the server and simply echo it in. So if I simply copy it to the authorized keys file, and next I have to select which IP addresses it should listen on. I pick all of them, and if I click save, the server is connected, authenticating with the user, with the said user, and some checks are done, and the product components get installed. So if I click save, and if this succeeds, this is a pretty good indication that everything is found fine and that this server is prepared to be used as a work node for the S3G auth system. So next I have to define an LDAP server, and as we've seen, there is one on the 2.9 in this Docker infrastructure. So let's take that one. Add a new LDAP server. The bind DN is cn equals admin dc test dc org, as you can find in the Docker definition, and dc test dc org is the base DN both for users and groups. And the bind password you can also look up in the Docker definition. As a search filter I can use, for example, this one, object class equals person, and cn is the thing the user entered. And for groups, correspondingly group of names and the group short name. The member attribute in OpenLDAP is member, the same as with Active Directory. Let's save it. And now we are prepared to define a first website. So first of all, I have to say which domain I want to have it on. I have a local defined test domain here in my etc hosts, and I take this domain name. At the moment nothing is listening here, so it's a valid test scenario, so as a domain I use it. And I have to assign a server it should be attached to. I only have one server, so I take it. Let's provide the site via HTTP. And now as host and backend, I use our company website. So usually this would be your content source in some of your DMZs or your intranet or any other server you make use of, and or it might even be a load balancer IP and port in this case, but I can also use anything in the internet, of course, just for demonstration purposes. And the outgoing host name has to be the same, of course, because the website vhost is only listening for that name. But in your case where this is a load balancer IP, of course, here's a real host name that virtual hosting works well with. So let's activate also an error log for the Apache. Now I have to define a login page. My website does not have one, so I use the generic one. This is a product provided login page that is automatically created on the fly. If you have nothing else, usually you would have your own developed login page reflecting your style, your look and feel of your website and your product and your design, of course. But if I don't have anything, so I can make use of this one. I leave the SSO for the moment because I just want to have a standalone website. And now two things are left. First of all, I have to say where the users come from. So I use that LDAP server we just defined. And now finally the authorization rules. I can define here what to protect. And in my case, for the demonstration, I just protect the products part of the website with the group users. So if I click save, some consistency checks take place, and if this succeeds, I am kind of prepared. So in a real world scenario, I would probably wait for the project manager or somebody else to say the site is ready, let's deploy. Maybe there are some latest developments taking place on the content side, or the quality assurance has to confirm that everything's fine. But if as soon as we're ready, and in my case I'm ready, of course, we can click publish and the website goes live. So this is what I do next. I publish this website. The publishing process in a standard infrastructure would take round about a minute. In my case, where everything's on local, this goes a lot quicker, of course. So you see that within some 10 seconds we are done. And now I can expect that the website is up and available, and the request that didn't show anything so far should succeed. So let's try this one. Of course, yeah, here you see the website, which now appears under this local domain name, host name, and I can access anything here. And you remember that the products part has been defined as protected. So if I go here, I have to authenticate. So let's take the test account from the OpenLDAP server and log in. And now you see that authentication succeeds, and I can enter this protected area now and can navigate freely through the website according to my authorization. And to show that the authentication worked, there's also another more technical perspective I want to show you. And namely, if you trace the network traffic with TCP dump or something, and then let's reload here the products part, then you see in the trace that the requests that go to the backend have been equipped with the user identity. So you see that the backend is notified of who the user is, and now can, for example, show some greetings, load profile data, or show personalized content or anything. So everything that is possible when you have the user identity at hand in your backend is now feasible. So you see that with these few steps, it's easy to define first protected website. We're already done within less than 10 minutes, and have our first website up and running. So this concludes this easy configuration demonstration, and thank you for your attendance.